My childhood.
Thank you for listening to Ruin My Childhood, the podcast where we decide if some things are better off left in the past. I'm Mike.
And I'm Kat.
And what are we going to be talking about today, Kat?
We're talking about I'll Be Home for Christmas.
It's our Christmas special. And this movie is special. I'm sure.
Special.
I remember liking this movie when I was younger. I didn't see it a lot. I think I saw it like once or twice. But Jonathan Taylor Thomas, he was like the it kid for a long time.
He was a big deal.
I mean, you had this, Tom and Huck, Man of the House, Lion King. Of course, he was in Home Improvement.
I loved Tom and Huck, but
So
I did
did I.
not have high hopes for this film.
I remember liking it. I feel like it's one of those like hijinky road trip movies, but for kids.
Hijinky?
Yeah. I don't really remember it. The only thing that I remember, and I could totally be wrong, I think he's trying to get a car or something, and that's why he has to get home, or he's gonna get money or something, but he's just like a jerk kid, and his dad wants him home for Christmas, and then like he gives him something, but I don't remember what it is.
I don't remember anything about this movie. JTT films were not really my wheelhouse back in the day. I was kind of a dark child.
My cousin was obsessed with him back in the day. She loved him. She had like a poster on her wall of him. But yeah,
He was always a little funny looking. Like his skin is the same color as his hair. It's a weird thing.
Yeah, kind of, I guess. He's also like 4'2".
It's like
right?
that water polo player phenomenon. Like you take a brunette guy, you throw him in a pool for a few months.
His
pretty
hair lightens
soon,
up.
His hair lightens, his skin darkens. They're all one color.
I was one color.
It's like a Ken doll when all the paint has been rubbed off.
Yeah, that's actually an accurate representation of swimmers and water polo players. And when I was in high school playing water polo, my hair was the same color as my hot body.
Your hot hairless body.
My hot hairless body. I didn't shave. There was a pool guy incident who
a vindictive chemical.
A vindictive pool guy ended up super chlorinating the
warfare.
pool without telling our coach.
It's
So
a
we
war
all
crime.
jumped in. And luckily, none of the hair on my face or head came off, but all the hair on my, like, lower, like, from neck down was just gone.
Except for in the Speedo. That's why you wear 2 Speedos, folks.
You wear 2 Speedos to protect you from chemical warfare and people who want to rip them off. Or if you're from the Bay Area, Bellarmine, they grabbed balls.
Oh, those Bellarmine boys. Well,
Bellarmine
it's
boys.
an all-boys school.
Right. Those dinguses.
We digress.
All right. So it sounds like you just vaguely remember watching this movie.
Very vaguely. It was not my jam.
It's a movie, not jam. Jam's made out of fruit.
That one didn't land.
I say we go to our listeners and see what they had to say about this film.
We have listeners. Sacred Sailor said, JTT was such a dreamboat. I still drool over that baby face.
Gross. I've got one that's from I Am Spaceship. That's cool. I am Groot. Santa just yammied in your handbag. And then there's an emoji of Santa Claus, an ocean wave, and a handbag. What does yammied mean?
I don't know. Doesn't sound good.
I'm assuming it means vomit.
Probably.
I'm assuming somebody vomits in a handbag.
Probably.
We'll keep an eye out for that. That's all that I got. It doesn't seem like this movie.
Maria Washington said that I secretly love it because I was in love with Jonathan Taylor Thomas and I still watch it every year in December. Haha.
Oh man, this is a holiday tradition for her.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I guess so.
Good. Well, one thing that's good is I don't do like research before the movies come out. I like to watch the movie and then I'll look up trivia. But I did look at the runtime of this movie, and it's less than 90 minutes. So even if it's bad, it's not going to be too bad. Or at least it's not going to be too long.
Thank goodness.
Let's just go watch it.
I have low expectations. Let's get this over with.
I want a traditional Christmas with snow and stockings and eggnog and carolers.
Jake was looking forward to the best Christmas of his life.
Still planning on coming home for Christmas?
Yes, sir.
He and Allie were flying home to be with his family.
Pick you up tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock. Okay.
Until a practical joke
Something wrong, fellas?
changed his plans.
All right, Jake, where are you?
changed his wardrobe,
I'm in the middle of nowhere dressed like Santa Claus being attacked by a killer buzzard.
changed his life.
Wish I were dead. I said I wished I were dead.
We just watched I'll Be Home for Christmas, and I'm glad it was short.
Yeah. It was hard to get through.
It was weird because
We had to take a couple breaks.
it's only an hour and 26 minutes.
It felt so much longer.
It
It
got
felt like
a lot-
2-hour movie.
It got a lot done in it, though. Like,
Okay.
a lot happened.
I would look down to take a note, and I would miss like 3 plot points.
And the thing is, those plot points weren't very difficult to grasp when you
Everything was just so random.
It was, and what's weird is, so I looked up trivia for this movie, and there's like no trivia on IMDb for this. There's like 6 facts,
It's not worth it.
and they're all like stupid ones. Like, so basically, the plot of this movie, I'll summarize it really quick, and then go to this fact: is Jonathan Taylor Thomas plays a guy. I think his name was Jake, but I'm just gonna call him Jonathan Taylor Thomas the whole time, or JTTT.
JTTT.
He is kind of like this. He pulls like scams and stuff, but he's like a cool guy.
He's a douche.
He is, but he's like this cool guy scammer dude at a college, and he's trying to bang Jennifer Beals. That's Jessica Biel. Jessica Biel. Jessica Biel. He's trying to bang her, and he ends up getting. I was right. His dad is like, "Hey, you haven't been home for Christmas since your mom died," and he's only supposed to be 18 years old, so it's strange. Like, how many Christmases has his mom been gone, and why was he gone as a minor? I don't know. I digress. And so his dad's like, hey, if you come home and you're home by Christmas Eve, 6 p.m., you can have a Porsche. And he's just trying to get home.
That's a pretty sweet deal.
That is a sweet deal. And so he's just has hijinks as he tries to go. So at one point, he has tickets, and we'll go into more plot points in a second, but he has tickets to fly there. We'll go into more details of the plot in a minute. But I just want to get this piece of trivia out, just to show you the caliber of trivia in IMDb for this movie. He has a ticket for a plane to New York, but these guys that he scammed decide, they don't like him, so they put him in a Santa suit, glue a beard and a hat to him, and they leave him in the desert to die. And so he wakes up in the desert, and there's vultures there. And so one of the trivia pieces on IMDb is Jonathan Taylor Thomas starred in The Lion King, and there's a scene where Simba wakes up next to vultures in the desert as well. That's
those coincidences,
right? And then like another one,
eerie.
Jessica Biel. This movie ends with an NSYNC song. Jessica Biel ended up marrying a member of NSYNC. That's the level of trivia for this movie because nobody cares about it.
I mean, it's lowbrow trivia for a lowbrow movie.
But you think they would have been like, oh, this person did this cameo because of this? I don't get it.
No, this movie is a festering turd of a film.
So, the thing is, like, I don't think it quite crosses over, and I think we're showing our hand a little early in the episode, but it's close to crossing that line of that it's so bad that it starts to get good, but it doesn't quite get there. There are some points that are bad that are funny.
It's like that school play where you really want the kids to do a great job, but no boys audition for the entire thing. So you're trying to see them pull off Romeo and Juliet with an all-female cast, and it's just super awkward, and you've got, like, drawn-on facial hair, and nothing quite works.
Oh, man.
It's bad.
I agree with your analogy, though. And it's so weird because the love interest in this movie is Jessica Biel, and she's like 8 feet tall, and Jonathan Taylor Thomas is like 4'2", and it just doesn't work.
It's awkward. She would have to stoop.
And the thing is, I think they played on his whole like Tiger Beat, Dream Beat Boy magazine appeal.
Dream Beat?
I don't know. I didn't watch these or read these little teeny bopper magazines because you're supposed to buy that this kid is super good looking and super charming and that everybody's gonna like him.
JTT is just a little funny looking. He's kind of like a bleached Mexican.
He kind of looks like Michael York. He's the guy who plays Basil in Austin Powers. Like, he could be his great grandson or something.
I don't even know. I just know that
Have you seen Logan's Run?
No, he's
Oh, man.
entirely one color. He's got these beady little eyes that are kind of close together. He doesn't have a lot of personality in his face, let's be real.
You know what I realized? Which it's kind of weird. It's like I never really noticed it until like this watching this movie. Is out of the 3 kids in Home Improvement, he actually looks the most like Tim Allen. Like, I would actually buy that he's related to Tim Allen. Like, they actually have like similar cheekbones, and I've met Tim
Why
Allen.
are you pointing this out on this
I don't
podcast?
know.
It doesn't matter.
I'm
It's
just saying.
completely irrelevant.
I noticed it while watching this movie.
Oh, Lord, Mike. This is how little we have to say about this film. No, I think he was a really good, solid child actor, and then he became a teen, and then he was just mediocre.
He just didn't grow.
Yeah, he stayed pretty much the same height, which unfortunately happens with a lot of child actors because it's easier to cast a small 8-year-old as a 6-year-old and have them be easier to work with.
And be able to do seasons.
Yes, you get a lot of these like really petite child actors in there, and then they grow up and they turn out kind of funny looking and kind of short, and they have a lot of mental health problems. So, yeah, it's always a little bit iffy.
Right. So, going over like just a few of the plot points. So he does all these weird scams, but like everybody knows he's not trustworthy. Like everybody comments on how he's a liar throughout the whole movie.
He is a liar.
Like his
he
family
basically has a career cheating tests at his university.
Selling bad fake IDs.
Everyone knows that he does it, so I don't know how he hasn't gotten kicked out.
Right.
Or isn't on some kind of academic probation.
The thing is...
He also sells fake IDs. He's just a skis.
But the thing is, it seems like the teachers at this college don't give a damn about anything, because there's a point where... So the reason all this kind of happens is he sells bad IDs to, like, the football players or something like that. And they end up putting his, like, sidekick, who's even smaller than him somehow, into, like, a locker. And the movie... starts with him like opening a locker and letting his friend out, and he's like, yeah, these guys are really upset about the IDs, we better do something. He's like, don't you worry, I got something in my sleeve, kind of thing. Like, I got this. So
in my sleeve?
Up my sleeve.
Mike loves to mix phrases. You expect me to just turn on a hat like that?
I've never said
you
that.
You have said that to me multiple times.
Turn on a hat? You can't turn on a hat.
I know.
You would crush that hat. But so he has this new plan that he's gonna give
drop
them...
of a dime.
I have said that one.
You've said both of those things.
I don't think I've said a turn
you
on a hat.
You mix up phrases every day.
Anyhow.
Every day.
Anywho.
You should ask your coworkers how many they've heard. I'm sure they're keeping count.
Anyway, so he has this new plan that's foolproof that he's going to help them ace their finals. And they're like, oh, well, we're not going to pay for it because those IDs were, I would never charge you for the answers to this test. So he said, but I'll charge you for beepers. So he literally gives them beepers, and he gets a copy of the test, and has his little nerdy friend like beeping the answers to them.
It's called paging.
Paging. I didn't have a beeper when I was a kid. I don't know. So anyway, they're paging these students, and the buzzers, like the beepers, keep going off in class, and the teachers like looks at him, they're like, "Oh, sorry, coach wants us to be in contact with them." It's like, what teacher would be okay with that?
No,
that's kind of the logic of this movie.
I mean, okay, so Jessica Biel's character at the beginning of the film, we've already established they don't have a great relationship. He's not trustworthy, therefore she does not trust him.
Right.
But she's also kind of an idiot. So at the beginning of the film, this kid takes the ticket that his dad bought him to fly home for Christmas. Where's home?
New York. Somewhere in New York.
Some miserable place with snow. So he trades in this ticket for 2 tickets for the 2 of them to fly from California, where they're going to college, to Mexico. Just the 2 of them. Cancun. He got like a 3-bedroom
suite,
villa or suite or something. So he's like trying to, like protect her virtue, and all of this is like the subtext of this. But he books a pretty sweet Christmas vacation for the 2 of them, and she's like, "You already know I'm taking a road trip home with my friend." Like, really?
Well, no, she was just gonna fly back home. Which is weird.
No, she was driving home with her friend. Why do you gotta correct things that you don't remember?
Because the whole thing fell apart, and she ended up going with the bully.
Yeah,
she wasn't originally going to go with him.
She had plans to drive home with her friend. That's why she was upset.
Got it. Oh, because they canceled it because he got tickets to New York because he traded them in again. That's right. I apologize.
Michael.
Anyway, I'm sorry. Continue.
So he sets up this really sweet vacation for the two of them. And she's freaking out about it because she wants to take a road trip home with her friend to do the same thing she does every holiday season. You know, I just think she's a little bit short-sighted.
I don't know. I mean,
she gets a vacation out of it. She gets to be nice and warm.
But maybe she likes her family.
It's luxury. She doesn't even have to bang him. Like,
you know what? It's probably because he's so short. If he was 6 foot, she would have gone.
Oh, you don't even know that.
I mean, come on. Everybody is like, if you're not 6 foot, get out of here. Get out of here. Get on out.
What?
Just get out of here.
You're really bad. That's not your finest work.
No, seriously, like, she's just like, I'm not gonna miss being home for, like, California, New York. She wants to be with her family. I kind of get that.
Okay, so she looks out the window in their dorm, and there's, like, fake snow falling outside the window. She's like, it's snowing! Like, you freaking idiot. That is not how we react to snow in California. Everyone in California sees it, they're like, what is going on outside?
Right. Well,
who's pouring stuff off the roof?
And she's like snoring, it's like sleeping in the middle of the day, and he goes and like lifts her arm and like lies in bed next to her, and then she wakes up and he says something along the lines of you always said you wanted to wake up next to me in the morning or something like that. And she's like, did you just come up with that? And he's like, nah, it's just off the cuff. And she's like, oh, you're the best, it's so sweet. Like, she's like super into she's super into him, like sneaking into her dorm and just getting in her bed. It's a little weird. It's weird. This whole movie's weird.
Why would you bring that up?
I'm just saying, like, it's weird.
It's not even an interesting thing to mention.
I'm just saying it's weird.
It's not even interesting.
I don't know. It's just weird that she's sleeping and he sneaks into her dorm.
So she's an idiot and he's a spoiled little prick.
Right. Well, and then he lies. So she gets upset, and then the dad says, hey, I'll give you the Porsche. So he trades in the tickets again.
Why does his dad give him the Porsche?
As a way to get him there, because he misses him, because he hasn't seen his son.
Why would he miss that child?
Because his wife is dead, and maybe he reminds him of his dead wife.
Replacement wife.
Hey. It's not the same.
I mean, it's all the same in the dark.
Whoa. So yeah,
he's got another kid at home.
Right.
A replacement wife. It's all good.
So what ends up happening is obviously the test. What ends up happening is there's this other bully, which is weird. There's like another subset of bullies who is this guy's like super into Jessica Biel, and he wants to just like he spends this whole movie just trying to mess with JTT and prevent him from seeing Jessica Biel. He catches on to them cheating on the test and like gets them caught, and then ends up partnering with the other bullies, the football players, to get him stranded in the desert. And then this whole movie is he's got no ID, he's got no money, and he's got to do this cross-country trip. And the yammy comment, like he yammied in your handbag, like the first thing he does is he wanders off the road and he is like hitchhiking, and these old women hear him trying to call his dad on a payphone and decide to help him out, and then he throws up in her bag because this woman's teeth fall out.
So rude.
Yeah, and that's what basically they said. So it was like 3 elderly women, Golden Girls, on their way to Vegas to see like Tom Jones, and he makes like a joke about, do you have What's New Pussycat?
It's super ageist.
Right. And so
it's like,
her
ew,
teeth fall out,
people.
and he just like throws up in this woman's purse. So like, I get it. They throw him out of the car. They're like, you disrespectful jerk.
Yeah.
And the rest of the movie's just kind of dumb.
I mean, the whole movie was kind of dumb. One thing that it did have going for it, though, is he had a really high-quality beard and mustache for that Santa costume.
Right.
Like, that piece was easily a couple $100. I was impressed. It's impressive.
Yeah, and what's weird is they glue it to his face. They make a point of saying, like, he tries to take it off, and it's stuck, and then he tries to take the hat off, and it's glued, and it's stuck. And somebody rips it off. Was it one of the old women?
I think so.
So yeah, one of the old women just rip it off, and he's just like, ah! He like screams, but then he has perfect skin the whole movie. Like, there's no like leftover beard on his face, or no skin ripped off, or even redness. Like, he just looks.
They glued the hat on?
Yeah, they glued the hat on his head too.
I completely missed that.
Yeah, just so he'd be stuck as Santa. They wanted him to die as Santa in the desert.
They were trying to murder him.
Yeah, they left him in the desert.
That's just pretty dark.
Yeah, like to the point where like vultures were already there, and he's like, "I wish I was dead," and the vulture's like, "Squat," and he's like, "I said I wished I was dead, not that I am."
One thing I really did enjoy about this film is they didn't even attempt to make the green screen look good.
No, and when they were driving,
All of the scenes in the car, the green screen is so bad it's funny, and you can tell that they probably got to the point where they're like, "This is gonna look terrible, so let's just camp it up."
and the thing is, this was a $30 million movie.
It doesn't look like it.
I don't know where the money went to because there are no big
Don't
actors
know.
in it.
There are no big names in this whatsoever except for JTT.
But still, he was a child star. Like, there's no way he got more than a couple $1 million for it. Like, 2 or 3, maybe.
I thought this is something you would have looked up, Michael.
No, I don't. I don't know how to look up how much people got paid for a movie. I just look at budgets. So there's this weird scene where he's like hitchhiking down like the freeway again, and you see this guy eating a burger in a van, and he almost causes several accidents, and then he like has his head down, and he's just driving on the shoulder, and he's about to hit JTT, and instead of jumping over the guardrail, which is right there, he runs for like 100 yards trying to outrun this van, ends up getting hit and goes flying like 100 yards in the snow. Like, you just see this like this trail of snow where he just slid across for like 100 yards. It's ridiculous. And then they have this whole thing where the van is full of stolen merchandise, so he has to pretend to be Stan and say he's going to a child hospital to give the toys away, and the cop just happens to want to be going over there, so he gets stuck with this cop. And then he ends up at this like weird diner with the cop, and the cop's singing to try to get his wife back or something like that, so he can get a bus ticket. And then he ends up in this other town doing a 5K Santa run, and he wins because he's racist against Kenyans. He sees like one black guy.
Why he wins.
He sees this like one black guy, and he automatically goes Kenyan, and the guy like nods, and then for whatever reason the Kenyan guy like runs into like a sign, and so it's between him and this one other guy, and he ends up winning, and all the town hates him for winning because it turns out the mayor wins every year and buys everybody turkeys or something like that.
Right.
And so he's like, "Oh man," and goes back and gives the money, and then he ends up like stowing away on an airplane in like a dog crate.
It's so strange.
Right. And then he ends up like stealing a sled, or he breaks
Nothing
into a
about this makes
he breaks
sense.
into a hotel because on TV for somehow magically every 10 to 15 minutes in the movie, him and Jessica Biel are in the same place when they've been driving the whole time. This guy's been stranded, has had to hitchhike several times, and he's had to go on these weird hijinks, stopping at the hospital, stopping at doing the 5K runs, but somehow he keeps running into his girlfriend, and she doesn't quite see him. So he breaks into a hotel because he sees them kissing. This guy
He's
kissing.
such a creep about
Yeah,
it.
and he like breaks into the hotel.
He's somewhere else. He sees the girlfriend and this other dude who is now trying to drive her to her family on TV because they're visiting one of those Bavarian villages.
Right.
A fake Bavarian village, which, you know, honestly, I love those.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to Solvang? It's beautiful.
Solvang's rad.
I love Solvang. So they're at this fake Bavarian village, and a reporter like calls them out for standing under the mistletoe and is like, "Well, now you have to kiss."
So they do just like she goes for a little quick kiss just to be nice, and he turns into like a 5-second thing, and you can tell she's uncomfortable with it, but she doesn't want to, like, she's not trying to be rude on TV or anything.
So JTT sees this, you know, because of course that's exactly how the world works, and he figures out where they're staying.
Yeah, so
and shows up.
So and then he like manipulates a bus driver, so he takes a bus
He
and he tries to
manipulates an entire bus by pretending a lump of meat is an organ.
So he takes like a little ice chest and writes in chalk or crayon or something that, you know, organ donation needs to be here by X date or something like that. And
it's kind of like when little kids are telling stories and they go, and then, and it just gets more and more absurd as you go.
Right. So the whole bus all of a sudden is like, we need to get to this Bavarian town so that this little girl can get her liver.
They go to that town. He assaults the clerk.
He's just like yelling at her.
He grabbed her.
Right. And then so he gets thrown out, and then he's like Solid Snakes through the hotel, breaks into her room.
Steals the dude's towel. Like, way to go, showing off a body that's way better than yours by ripping off his towel. Now she's definitely not getting back with you.
And so she, for whatever reason, she's like on board. She decides like she's going to get back with him and they're going to
Even though he's a pervert.
Right.
And he's violent.
But then he lets slip. Then he goes,
con man.
I have to get back by 6 p.m. She's like, why do you have to get back by 6 p.m.? And he's like, oh, that's when dinner is. And she was like, no. Why do you have to be back by 6 p.m.?
Why would she be upset about the car thing?
Because earlier in the movie, he said specifically that he switched the tickets because she taught him that nostalgia and family is more important. So he lied to her and said the reason that he swapped the tickets to New York instead of going to Cancun is because she taught him a lesson and he wanted to do right by her.
I mean, I don't think she should have held it against him.
I mean, that's a pretty minor...
Someone offers you a classic Porsche, you're gonna take it.
Right. I mean, the point of it was that, like, he's lied so many times.
Things I would do for a classic Porsche.
The whole point is he's lied to her over and over and over and over again. And then the way the movie basically wraps up is he gets to town. They live in the same town, conveniently. And she mentions, like, I wouldn't get back with you if Santa showed up in a one-horse open sleigh. So he gets into town after stowing away on an airplane and steals a one-horse open sleigh from a parade. And you think he's going to go to... The whole time he's, like, imagining himself driving the car. And you think he's going to his dad's house. And he ends up going to her instead. And he takes her to the dad's house, and they're a little late, and the dad goes to give him the keys anyway. He goes, no, I can't take that. Deal's a deal. All of a sudden, he's a great guy, and he's like, hey, the car's not done yet. We got at least 35 Christmases before we're done with the work. And then he says something along the lines to his, like, stepmom, and he's like, 36. And she's like, what? And he goes, size 36. That's what, my sweater size is. First off, sweaters aren't measured like that.
I knew you were gonna.
And then he says something, and then he says size medium. I'm sorry, he's like a child. He might be a child's medium because I'm a medium and I'm a little fatty right now.
Are you a medium?
I'm a medium still on shirts. Still? Like I'm skinny fat. I'm still medium on shirts.
Oh, are we calling it skinny fat?
Yes.
That was mean.
That was really mean. I just have a little tum-tum. And then the movie just ends happily, and they like they take the sleigh out as a family and like lead the parade with nobody watching.
Yeah, there's like a parade that goes through his street where they both live. Apparently they both live on the same street, and this random parade is going through.
Well, then no, they came for their sleigh.
No one is outside watching this stupid parade.
Right.
Where are these people
the thing
coming
is, you would
from?
think...
Where are they going?
Right. So they left the parade route to try to get their sleigh back, but you would think people would be like, what is going on with all these like horses and marching bands going through this random neighborhood? But no, the movie just kind of ends. And
the only good part of this movie is when she's upset at him for the Porsche situation, and she says, you're just a genuine butthole.
Right. The other thing that was weird, and they try to... I kind of appreciate it because it is another way that he was kind of getting what he deserved. So the guy, like the skeevy guy who kept trying to make moves on her and was driving her to her parents' house, after they kind of break up, and she gets on the bus and takes JTT's bus ticket back home. So the bully guy is driving him, and they're like bonding. They're like singing like some song together. And they're having a great time. They're broing out. And he's like, man, women are the worst. And he's like, yeah, women are the worst. And then so JTT's like, I'm going to get home. I'm going to get my Porsche. And then I'm going to drive it back to Los Angeles. And then I'm going to get my girl back. And then the guy's like, wait a second. Why am I helping you? And then he just leaves him on the side of the road. He's like, I'm way better off if you don't get any of these things, because then I could get her. And just leaves her and then drives off.
This movie is full of idiots and false starts, and it's just awkward. It's an awkward mess. There's like a mini SantaCon in the middle. It's terrible.
Well, and then that guy gets arrested at that SantaCon thing because like the whole town's closed off because there's like a 5K, and he like yells at a cop who's dressed as like a Christmas tree and gets arrested. And we're supposed to be like, yeah, that guy got what he deserved kind of thing. But it's like, JTT is not a good guy.
No, he's
like,
not.
We're supposed to just buy that everybody in this world loves him and finds him charming.
I just want him to suffer the whole film.
Right. He deserved everything he got.
He should have died in the desert.
And the thing is, he calls his dad and tells him exactly what happened. And his dad's like, okay, ding dong. Like, I gave you the money. I don't buy this. This is last year you told me that you were training to be an ultimate fighter. I don't believe anything you say. Get here on your own at this point. And he's just like, the dad gets off the phone. He's like, yeah, he's lying kind of thing.
I can't figure out why the family wants him home at all.
I don't know, man.
He's a jerk. He's a terrible child.
Right.
It's a horrible human being. They'd be better off if he would just die.
Right. Well, I don't know about that, but yeah, it's weird because we're supposed to believe this is a world where everybody loves this kid and finds him charming, and he's just like, I think you're right with his little beady rat eyes. He's just not somebody that people should find charming, but for whatever reason, everybody believes every lie he tells until they don't.
Right.
Like, it's just random. Like, they believe everything, and then just randomly they decide, nope, I don't believe that. Oh, and everything you ever told me is a lie.
The only thing this movie has going for it is some good 90s nostalgia.
Had
A
Aqua.
restaurant that is named Turf and Turf. And that one butthole line. At one point, he wore a button-up shirt made out of basketball short material.
Yeah, what was that?
That is the 90s.
It was like plastic, for sure.
It's the 90s. So, did this ruin your childhood?
I can't say yes, because it's not something that I remember fond. Like, I didn't really remember the movie.
I was not invested in this film at all.
You were not invested in it. You were not paying. There were so many times you're like, what just happened? What just happened?
I was trying to write down what happened.
You were playing a game.
I was not playing a game. I can assure you I was not playing a game.
But no, it
was bad.
It's weird because it got so much stuff done in this less than 90 minutes.
It's whiplash.
But yeah, it wasn't very good. This is not something I'd watch again. And it sucks because I couldn't find it free anywhere other than PlayStation View, and I already used a free trial for that. So we had to pay to watch this one.
Yeah, it's a bummer. Fun fact, the cinematographer for this, Hiro Narita, was also the DP for something else we covered on here.
Oh yeah? What's that?
The Rocketeer.
Oh, The Rocketeer's good.
And Hocus Pocus.
And Hocus Pocus, that one's good.
And an episode of Tales from the Crypt. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Oh, we should watch that someday.
Shuttlecock? I mean...
Alright, well, while you're looking at that, what are we going to be covering on our next episode? Come on, you know this.
No,
We discussed it.
I know.
Kiss me.
She's all that. Oh, dear Lord. I hate, like, you know when someone, like, runs their nails down a chalkboard?
Yarp.
That is the feeling I get when you sing that way.
Anyway, we're covering She's All That.
This ball of anxiety rises in my chest, and I feel like screaming.
Anyway, we're covering She's All That next time.
I'm not even exaggerating, Michael.
Freddie Prinze Jr., Rachel Lee Cook, I think Matthew Lillard's in that one. Is Matthew Lillard in it?
I don't know.
I think Usher's in it as well. And maybe this one doesn't have Matthew Lillard, but it has the late Paul Walker.
Oh, God.
Oh, it does have Matthew Lillard in it.
It does have Matthew Lillard and Paul Walker. You know what? Paul Walker was never a good actor.
Nope.
It's unfortunate he's dead, but let's not pretend that he's something.
Anna Paquin? Kieran Culkin? Man, this is going to be great. Foggy Nelson?
Foggy Nelson. Oh,
Alden
God.
Henson?
He is terrible.
Anyway, we're going to watch that. It's going to be an episode that
Lil'
we do.
Kim is in this.
Gabrielle Union? Man, this movie is going to be rad.
Gabrielle Union's in a lot of stuff. And
Yeah.
she's going to be in a lot of stuff because she's immortal.
Right. Anyway.
Dule Hill is in this. I worked with him.
Katrina Marie Sherwood?
Yes.
Where can our listeners find you?
I'm all over the internet at Katrinosity. Check out my YouTube channel.
And check out our YouTube as well. It's linked below. Listen to our other podcast, Remake Rewind. Check out everything that's MDXpods related at MDXpods.com, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at MDXpods. And check out our Patreon. We put all our episodes up early. We have, little rewards. And it's pretty cool. You can throw in $1 or $2 to support your favorite 2 podcasts in the whole world. And yeah, thanks for listening.